Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next session, Unit 6. And this is the last topic, and it is going to talk about the interfaces. So it's a very simple one, not a very complex one like the other ones. So it's a very simple one. It all talks about the interfaces we have with, IT asset management. Okay, so at the end of this module, you'll be able to describe the ecosystem, which is simple one. We've been discussing about that. And then the roles and responsibilities, the relation between HAM, SAM, services, cloud asset management, and people information asset management. And then the communication between IT asset stakeholders, the need for policies, procedures, and technologies. So overview of IT asset management modules. You hope you remember HAM, it is that area which focus on managing the life cycle of hardware assets. And then SAM, which is going to focus on the life cycle of software assets, right? And then cloud service asset management, which focus on the managing the life cycle of cloud services, and people information and asset management, which focus on managing the people and information aspects, right? So ITAM is about to protect the company IT assets wherever they are and support the protection of company intellectual property. So we have so many things here, right? We have ISO 19770 information security management standard, and then 55,000 it's IT asset management standard, and then we have ISO governance and ISO 38500, and then here we have ISO IT security, ISO 27000. This is security. Sorry, 19770 was for software asset management. Okay, 19770 is for software asset management, and 55,000 is for asset management. And then on the last side, we have ITSM best practice, ISO 20K. That is the standard for ISO, service management system. So what are all the components here? So we have components like hardware, software, people and information, and then cloud services, right? So it's saying, what actually it says is, when we're talking about ISO 19770 and 55,000, then hardware and software is covered here. When we talk about ISO 27000, it talks about software and people, information. We are going to cover these two aspects. When we're going to talk about ISO 20K, then it is cloud and people and information asset management. And when we talk about ISO 38500, this is for cloud, right? It's a standard for cloud. So we are talking about hardware and cloud services. Okay, so the purpose of all these standards is to bring that alignment and provide the transparency, to all the IT assets that we have. Okay, so here, if you look at this diagram, so firstly, we have asset portfolio, right? And then we have asset portfolio means we have different types of assets, right? Your software assets, your hardware assets, your cloud assets, and so on, and people assets. So all, these all can be considered under as different portfolios, right? So HAM as one portfolio, SAM as one portfolio. So this is asset portfolio. Okay, it is a combination of different asset practices, asset management practices. Okay, and then we have asset management system, which is a tool. Okay, it's a system which is going to manage all our so-called asset portfolios, your hardware assets, software assets, cloud assets, and so on. And then we have asset management. Asset management, it is a practice, it is a process. Okay, it's a process and practice which is going to help us manage our asset management system and asset portfolio. And then on the top of asset management, we have managing organizations. So first we have organizations goals and objectives. Accordingly, our goals and objectives will be cascaded to asset management unit or the team or the function. And then accordingly, we will define our necessary priorities and then select the right asset management system and will manage our asset portfolios. Okay, so if you look at this thing, it says asset management, coordinate activities and then realize value from assets. And then if you look at this one, asset management system, establish policies, objectives, and processes. Okay, so this is about the IT asset management with respect to 55,000, ISO 55,000. So if you have any queries, questions, please email to info@oneworldtraining.com. Okay, ISO 55,000 value creation. The purpose of this is to reduce the compliance, avoid value destruction, and increase, improve the risk management and improve the effectiveness and efficiency, improve the value innovation, and improve the disruptive changes. Okay. ITAMOrg Alignment. So ITAMOrg's approach to IT asset management is objectives into actions, to make objectives into actions with the help of gap analysis and tiered approach. Hope you remember the tiered approach, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, right? Which was talking about trustworthy data and then lifecycle integration and optimization. And then integration, alignment of processes and alignment to business processes. Okay. And lastly, a supporting asset management system. Okay, so this is the approach to IT asset management, in terms of, with respect to ITAMOrg's approach. Okay, so this is the approach given by ITAMOrg. First, do gap analysis, then do tiered approach, and then integrate, that is alignment to your process and business process, and then define a supporting asset management system. Leadership also plays a very important role, not only here, everywhere, right? So proper IT asset management needs leadership. It needs good workplace culture. You need to define the roles, responsibility, and the authority, and then we need to bring that awareness among all our stakeholders, and we need to involve all our stakeholders into this program. So these are the important responsibilities of leadership team. Okay, so why are we discussing all this? We are saying that these are all the interfaces. Okay, these are all the interfaces for IT asset management. That is ISO55000, and then alignment, and then leadership team. We need IT asset management interfaces with all these things, leadership and assurance. So IT asset management assurance. What is the assurance? Assets fulfill purpose. They have processes, connection to organizational objectives, continual improvement, and necessary resources. So IT asset management will provide assurance on processes, continual improvement, to provide necessary resources, and to have, meet the goals of organizational objectives, and assets fulfill the purpose. IT asset manager job description, or the roles and responsibilities. So the primary duties and responsibilities are implements processes, procedures, and systems for tracking and analyzing software, hardware, and equipment from requisition through retirement. Okay, so he or she, the role is responsible for defining the processes, procedures, and track the IT assets, and right from the requisition to the retirement stage. Manage all assets within the organization and affiliated companies. So this role is responsible to manage all the assets within the organization and also affiliated companies. Manage acquisition of assets from planning through deployment. We've discussed this already. So right from the planning phase to the deployment. Report to senior management about the issues that we have in IT assets. So the role needs to report about the performance of the IT assets, if there are any conflicts, with the vendors, if there is any kind of issues with the IT assets, the role has to report it to the senior management. Personal attributes provide proven ability to translate business requirements into technical solutions. So this role needs to understand the business requirements and has to convert that into technical solutions. Strong analytical and problem solving skills, resourceful and capable of working in the abstract with the ability to understand multiple facets of complex technologies. So this role will need to have the problem solving skills and ability to understand the different technologies. Okay, because we are working with hardware assets, software assets, cloud assets. So the role definitely needs to understand different technologies. Ecosystem, we have discussed this, right? So IT asset management, firstly, we need to have IT governance, right? And then IT governance based on the governance controls, or based on the governance directions, IT service management works. And service management, as we discussed before, it's on managing the IT services. Okay, and it is to ensure that we are delivering the services as per the customer requirements. And IT asset management, it is that practice which focuses on managing the IT assets right from the purchase to retirement or disposal, ensuring there is optimal utilization of the IT assets and reduce the risks, and also a cost reduction in IT assets. Okay, so in IT asset management, we have all these 4 areas: hardware, software, services and cloud, and then people and information.